I think I think we're online. I think we're online, and I don't know. This might be a little more low energy. I had not that it matters, but I had intended to stream last night. I had OBS all set up. I got all my windows in there. I got the recipe of the day, and it just never happened. I never ended up going live and wanting to talk about the debate. This is this is actually getting a little, it's challenging. I don't know if it's a stupid idea, but it was an idea of like, I want to know this debate inside and out, so that I can learn about what I would assumed would be a lot of the major important talking points surrounding the issue. And I think I have. And not just from this, but, watching this debate, little things mentioned in the debate can sort of work as a launching off point to learn about other stuff and to talk about other stuff. And, just you take these new bits of information and you follow the trail and you learn a lot of stuff. So in order to keep this interesting for me, instead of just watching the debate and getting mad at Steven and getting mad at Benny Morris over and over and over again, I want to do more of the rabbit trails and more of the learning and more of the exploring, and less just like frustrating losing my mind at these bad faith pieces of shit. Okay, so where do we start? Why I have written the over here, and we're going to talk about that. I just wanted to leave that up so I don't forget to talk about or the, if you prefer. But before we get to let's talk about the recipe of the day. Hamburger with ketchup. Now, honestly, you probably should substitute a veggie burger, or really any kind of, whatever food you enjoy between two buns, if you know what I mean. You can substitute that in. But yeah, you take a hamburger, you get yourself a bottle of ketchup. All right, I like to remove the top bun. I like to invert it this way and set it down on the plate just next to the bottom bun. And then I squirt a little ketchup on it, on the top bun, and then I put it back. So let me know how that recipe works for you, if it's good or not, I look forward to hearing from you. And if it tastes bad, God, then I'm really sorry. I might have to double check the recipe then. Maybe we'll see if there's any way we could improve it. All right. I want to talk about constructive ambiguity. And this is an interesting topic that really ties directly to exactly what we're talking about in this debate and have touched on for a lot of this debate, which is the UN Council resolutions, okay? United Nations resolutions, who are kind of the create this sort of historical outline of the quote-unquote Israel and Palestine relations, right? Because they're the ones who are getting involved in all of this, trying to sit the two sides down to try to work out a deal, right? Um, I don't know. I think when all is said and done, we could look back on Earth history, human history. I I think one might say that the UN was a sort of a very evil, sort of overarching villain of this whole story. Their involvement in trying to keep peace, I think, paradoxically, ironically, how the old switcheroo actually keeps things more, actually just prolongs these wars again and again and again and again. By playing the part of as the authority, um, but favoring, obviously, just clearly favoring like the imperialist capitalist side in all of these things. They aren't they're peacekeepers in the same like euphemistic way they talk about marauding gangs of killers who go around and terrorize their community. As peacekeepers, we keep the peace by killing. And yeah, the UN does have an army, but I don't think they're the true damage of the UN is from their army. I think it's through their diplomatics, their diplomacy. Well, we'll see about that. Now, again, I didn't do the disclaimer, but I'll do it right now. I am a teacher, but I'm not your teacher. I am your study buddy in the school of life. I'm not here as an authority of any kind. I'm here to learn. And if you want to learn too, you can learn with me if you want. Okay? I'm happy to hang out with you. This is not meant to be entertainment. This is just meant to be a thing. If you're enough of a weirdo as I am that you want to watch this, then go right ahead. But if like most people, you find this to be tedious and boring and insufferable, then please don't watch it. This is not for you. This is not for most of you. And it doesn't, whether or not it's not about your politics. I'm sure there's plenty of amazing, based ass, pro-Palestine, anti-Israel people who would also just be completely annoyed because they probably already know all the shit that I'm like lording and for the first time. And that's got to be probably annoying to watch. So this is not for you. I mean, who's this for? This is for double person. Look at that. There's another me. This is for, I don't know. It's for me and anyone who's slightly like me in this situation. Okay? Let's talk about constructive ambiguity. Credited to good old Henry Kissinger. Okay, that's another rabbit hole we can go down, but let's just say this guy was a no good. Okay, he was a real evil motherfucker. And here's a good I don't know, example of one of the shitbag things he does and did, and the sort of the rippling of negative effects that carry on for generations. Right? So when we say someone's a bad guy, like, there's one level of bad guy when you sort of like, I don't know, you make life more difficult for like a handful of people. You inconvenience a lot of people. You make life less happy, more full of anxiety and pain than it otherwise would have needed to, right? And then there's like another level where you're like, not only did your thoughts and or words and actions lead to the direct deaths of millions of people, then also indirect future cascading domino effects of your fucking actions have carried on and are now you know, seen in all around the world in such horrors, including the worst fucking genocide of our generation. Yeah. I mean, Henry Kissinger didn't start this problem, but as we're going to read on, this kind of weapon that he used, this tool of language that he used, well, I don't know. I think it was key. It might have been key to the entire continuation of this fucking occupation and genocide of Palestine. It's fudging. It's being vague, right? But why is it constructive? Why is being ambiguous constructive in some cases? Well, if you and I have a dispute and there's one point we cannot agree on, well, what we can do is we can construct a vague enough sentence that I can interpret it one way, favorable to me, and you can interpret it another way, favorable to you, and we can both agree that this ambiguous sentence can be true for each of us. So now we've reached an agreement, right? That's why it's constructive. It gives we're going to bring this all together. Let's just agree that we both have a lot of good ideas and we also have some bad ideas. Right? Okay. Yeah, I can agree to that. I can agree that I only have one sometimes little bad idea, but mostly good ideas. But you have tons of bad ideas, but a couple little good ideas. Right? And if the law just says we both have good ideas and bad ideas, and it's like, okay, yeah, fine, we can agree to that, right? Common ground, right? This might be, they might say, oh, we found some common ground. Where can we find common ground? What can we both agree on? A lot of those points will be constructively ambiguous. I'm gonna continue on. I want to read it in relation to 242. 242. Okay, this is gonna come up more when we dig into the debate. Because as I was reading it on, they mention 242, Resolution 242. This happened in 67, 68, something like that. And this was supposedly another one of those chances for peace that Benny and Pestiny are saying the Arabs rejected. Okay? Okay. The UN Security Council agreed on the text of its Resolution 242 after the crushing defeat that Israel inflicted on joint Arab forces during the Six-Day War in 1967. The defeat that Israel inflicted. How do you inflict a defeat? Who? It just doesn't. That wording makes it not very clear, like who came out the victor. If it was devastating. Oh God, I don't know anything about the Six-Day War. It was fought between Israel and a coalition of Arab states, primarily Egypt, Syria, and Jordan, from the 5th to the 10th of June. Military hostilities broke out amid poor relations between Israel and its Arab neighbors, which had been observing the 1949 armistice agreement signed at the end of the First Arab-Israeli War. In 1956, regional tensions over the Straits of Tiran escalated in what became known as the Suez Crisis, when Israel invaded Egypt over the Egyptian closure of maritime passageway to Israeli shipping. In the months prior to the outbreak of the 6th War, tensions... I want to skip forward a little bit. What were the 6 days? 5th to the 10th. Egypt and Jordan agreed to a ceasefire on 8th and Syria on 9th. It was signed with Israel on the 11th. 6-day war resulted in more than 15,000 Arab fatalities, while Israel suffered fewer than 1,000. Alongside the combatant casualties were the deaths of 20 Israeli civilians killed in Arab forces airstrikes on Jerusalem, 15 UN peacekeepers killed by Israeli strikes at the Sinai outside of the war, 34 U.S. personnel killed at the USS Liberty. Okay, so they're saying Israel inflicted defeat after, so basically they mean a victory for Israel against the Arabs. More Arabs forces died during that. Okay. As a result of bargaining between the powers sitting in the Security Council, the resolution reflected the deeply polarized political opinion. As a result of bargaining between the powers sitting in the U.S. in the Security Council, the resolution reflected the deeply polarized political opinion. The provision of the resolution which prompted different and incompatible interpretations was the one immediately following the preamble of the text, reading, "Establishment of just and lasting peace in the Middle East should include the application of both the following principles. Withdrawal of Israeli armed forces from territories occupied in recent conflict. Termination of all claims or states of belligerency and respect for territorial integrity of every state in the area and their right to live in peace within secured and recognized boundaries." The use of an unnatural English construction, territories occupied in recent conflict, without the expected definite article, the, made it possible to question whether Israel was asked to withdraw from all the territories occupied in the recent conflict, or to withdraw from some, but not all such territories. The is called the definite article. We only have one in English. We have our one and only definite article. I believe the is literally the most common, the most frequently used word. I can't even describe what it is without saying the. Okay? It's the definite article. It's the one we have. So, I can omit this word, and I take the definite and I make it ambiguous. Is it definite or indefinite? It's funny how something can be ambiguously indefinite or definite. You think then, therefore, it's just automatically indefinite. But, whatever. Yeah. Let's say I take a big trash bag full of empty beer cans, and I dump out all the empty beer cans onto your bed. And you say, "Kudos. Remove empty beer cans from bed." I could say, okay, I'll remove empty beer cans from bed. And then I can go to my bed, take 2 empty beer cans, and remove them. There. I removed empty beer cans from bed, just like you said. What you should have said was, please remove the empty beer cans from my bed. Right? Those articles, my is not an article. I guess it's a determiner, right? It's a possessive adjective. My bed. In this case, it should have said the bed, or in this, the UN Security Council, Israeli armed forces would remove themselves from the territories that happened in the recent conflict. Those ones. So we don't have to say all. All would probably help to clarify, but even just the would be enough to imply that all of them. Because if I dumped a bag of empty beer cans on your bed, you would want that I remove all of them, not some of them, right? Get these empty beer cans off of my bed that you jumped on here. So by purposely omitting the, you have bad faith people who can interpret that in the stupidest way possible. That's obviously not the intended resolution for the specific crime that's happened. So, removing the can make all the difference. And, yeah, it's ridiculous. Now let's go on. Notably, the French translation of the document, unlike the English original, used the definite article, demanding
retrait des forces armées israéliennes des territoires occupés lors du récent conflit.
Withdrawal of Israeli armed forces from the territories occupied during the recent conflict. Wow, way to go, French.
Retrait des forces armées israéliennes des territoires occupés lors du récent conflit.
Récent conflit. Du récent conflit. Thus, the French version, which together with the English version was an official UN version of the document. The document. I know I keep saying document like an asshole. I just can't help myself. I just prefer to call them documents. I don't know why. Nobody says that. It's not even French at all. I'm sorry. Look, again, this is not entertainment. Fuck off. Go fuck. Go fuck something. I don't want you to fuck yourself, but I want you to fuck something. No, I'm just kidding. Fuck away. Fuck as you will. Okay, so the French version, these are all official UN versions, suggested that Israel must withdraw from all territories. The French interpretation suited the interests of Arab countries, which made numerous attempts to prove its validity. By contrast, Israel opposed such an interpretation. The sponsor of the resolution, Lord Caradon, appears to have had no intention of inserting the definite article into its text. Caradon additionally emphasized the additional and clarifying light that the second part of the first provision shed on its first part, and insisted that it must be given uppermost consideration. According to him, the boundary that existed before the Six-Day War did not satisfy the right of Israel to live within secure and recognized boundaries. Consequently, under this interpretation, Israel did not have to withdraw from its pre-Six-Day War boundaries. Fuck this fuck. Anyone with a lord before their name, tell them, fuck you, you fuck. Why? Why would someone have so much fucking power? Oh, Lord Caradon emphasized that. He insisted it be given the uppermost consideration. Oh, it was Lord Caradon. He was very uppermost and blah, 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 blah. Fuck you. The only good lord is a motherfucking. Okay? You know what the fuck I'm saying. Fuck all of these guys. They can disappear. They can take a trip to the land of wind and ghosts. It was adopted unanimously and sponsored by the ambassador, Lord Caradon. Ah, thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord, for your fucking insistence on taking away the word the, so as to be able to pass the resolution and not have to follow it at all. If they had followed this, if they had followed this to the spirit of the law, or just the French interpretation, which legally is an official wording of the law, then there would be no more Israel. They'd have to give all the land back. It's all Palestine. Now, I literally don't know about Sinai. Is Sinai also Palestine? Has it always been Egypt? These are the questions that goofballs like me are going to ask, and hopefully learn about it. I don't know about Sinai. I don't know if Sinai is still was historically considered Palestine. If I had to guess, I'm guessing that a lot of these borders naturally are not lines. They're fuzzy, moving, dynamic areas, okay? Rivers don't just stay in one place. Rivers fucking move. Mountains, not so often. Same with coastlines, not so often. But peoples and groups and things move around. Their borders are not these clear, like, little lines where, like, you can't come across this. Unless someone builds an actual goddamn fence, right? And we've talked about this ad nauseum, but building a fucking fence, a wall, a partition that blocks an entire fucking country is a form of violence. That is inflicting violence. The only way to protect that border is through the threat and use of actual killing, boom, boom, bang, bang violence. Literal destruction of human bodies is the only way to maintain those. That's something to keep in mind again with all of these so-called peace resolutions that they say. Peace resolutions? No, they're violence. They're inflictions of violence that are trying to be stamped, approved, given consideration to the whole world that that this is the way things are now. Okay, fuck peace resolutions. They are. It's fucking doublespeak. It's fucking. It's You know what I mean. All right, I also need to shout out Overzealots. This is kind of what got me onto this kick about the I think it's on YouTube. Check this dude out. There. Watch us for zealots on YouTube. Okay, go do that. He just came out with a one today, and this is kind of what got little fire into my ass when he was talking about Resolution 242 and the use of constructive ambiguity. Let's listen to a little bit.
Israel would get peace and recognition in exchange for withdrawing from the territories it had just occupied. But right from the start, the resolution was deliberately vague. It didn't call for a withdrawal from all occupied territories, just territories, without specifying how many or which ones. The missing word "the" before the word territories in the English version of the resolution has been the most controversial part. Pro-Israel voices argue that this omission was intentional, meaning Israel wasn't required to pull out of all of the land it had seized, just some, depending on what it decided was necessary for its secure and recognized boundaries. Never mind the fact that the French version of the resolution does include the definite article and leaves no room for ambiguity. French is also an official UN language, and under UN rules, all language versions are equally authoritative. Nonetheless, Israel later capitalized on the vague English translation to maintain its occupation of conquered territories, with former Israeli Deputy Prime Minister stressing that his government would only consider English text as more terrifying than British diplomat who helped draft the resolution, later admitted that this ambiguity was intentional. Israeli legal advisor Joel Singer argued that this kind of constructive ambiguity created a lasting loophole. One Israelite exploited to justify refusing full withdrawal from occupied territory. Ambiguous language of Security Council Resolution 242 left open another loophole for Israel to retain the territories it had just occupied.
Look, when I move this slider, it doesn't affect the volume at all. It's just still coming through, and it's not like the slider's doing nothing. It's not turning up or down. Does it work with my mic? What's going on? Why don't these sliders work? Why don't they do what they're fucking supposed to do?
And a half century since, with American help, Israel has driven approach and process through this linguistic has formally annexed, and to maintain its unending military control over them.
Audio monitor. Audio mixer.
242's problems go even deeper. It says absolutely nothing about Palestine or Palestinians. It reduces their entire struggle to a vague mention of a just settlement of the refugee problem, as if they're just an inconvenient.
Oh my god, I don't understand. I don't understand. What is the fucking point of this? Monitor and output. Monitor off. This should be monitor off.
Humanitarian issue, not as people with an internationally recognized right.
I don't know what the fuck. Desktop audio. Check, 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 check. Tip, 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 tip. Okay, now that slider seems to be working.
Right to return and a claim to their land. Rashid Khalidi calls this omission a third declaration of war on Palestinians and the UN Partition Plan of 1947. By reframing the conflict as a territorial dispute between Israel and Arab states, 242 effectively erased Palestinians as a political community with national rights, all while masquerading as some sort of peace proposal and solution to the quote-unquote conflict. And to make things worse, 242 has become the benchmark for resolving the entire conflict. I put the word conflict in heavy quotations because typically that word implies two forces of equal might going at it. But what we see here is colonization and genocide of a defenseless people. The term doesn't seem all too applicable. Khalidi.
All right, now my bars, my lines appear to be good. The bars and lines appear to be reacting to the slider. That's what we like to see. All right. So anyway, I recommend the Overzealots on YouTube. Okay. So Moeen Rabbani talks about how Palestinians have already recognized Israel, which already was a giant concession. And Stephen Bonnell is going to highlight that by being a dickhead and saying, you keep bringing that up like it's a significant concession. So let's go to 40217. Here we go.
Law and all the rest of it be damned. So you need to take into account that when you're advocating bilateral negotiations, that effectively that gives each of the parties veto power. And to account that when you're advocating be damned. So, and standards and norms and law and all the rest of it be damned. So you need to take into account that when you're advocating bilateral negotiations, that effectively that gives each of the parties veto power. And in the current circumstances, the Palestinians have already recognized Israel. They have
Why you keep bringing that up like it's a significant
not true.
concession?
It's not
And I don't.
true.
And even if
It's not even true.
it
Even
doesn't,
though
but it
they
doesn't. The
signed a
recognition
piece
from
of paper.
Palestine isn't doing anything for.
You're
Hamas totally rejects.
I'm not talking about Hamas.
Hamas is the majority among the Palestinian people. They won the elections in 2006.
They won a majority of the seats.
Yes, exactly.
They didn't win a majority of
every
votes.
opinion poll today says the majority of Palestinians
sounds
support
right.
the Hamas.
That sounds
and the Hamas absolutely rejects Israel.
But
so if Arafat in 2003, 1993 or whatever issued a sort of recognition,
it wasn't
of Israel,
a sort of recognition.
Okay, a recognition of Israel. It does. It's meaningless.
It's meaningless.
Anyhow, I don't believe that Arafat was.
Okay, I've got a fucking squirrely ass mouse. My mouse is not performing. I constantly have to like click it and it won't register. So then I double click it and then it registers both as a double click, and then it's just fucked. Every fucking mouse I have has some fucking problem. I have another mouse I could plug in, but it will fucking freeze up. Like, it just won't move. The cursor won't even move. Like, the clicks are fine, but it won't point at what I want to point at when I want to click on something. This one will point just fine. It'll point at exactly what I want it to point to, but then the clicks will maybe register, maybe won't. And I never know if I have to click something 2 times or 3 times, or if the computer's just being slow. Okay, anyway, so did you notice Benny Moines, like, they start off saying, like, the Arabs would never do anything, they never gave any concessions, and he's... see, those. Just a moment. Water delivery's here. Water delivery's here. Gotta get that. Boogie boy, what are you doing? As far as I'm concerned, it's a great way to start a sentence. It's a slow one. It's a slow brain, low energy weekend. Yeah, I don't know. I can't do this. We're gonna end the stream now. We'll try to, maybe we'll pick it up later today or something. All right. See you later.